Hey, welcome back to Livin MN Outdoors. I'm Daniel, and thanks for tuning in to this week's fishing report. Like usual, before we dive into the report, just a couple of things. If you guys use any of the guides or resorts mentioned in today's report, please let them know you saw them on Livin MN Outdoors. Also, if you guys would like your pictures featured in next week's fishing report, please send those pictures over to us on Facebook or email them to us at livinmnoutdoors@gmail.com. And with that being said, let's dive into this week's fishing report. Alright, this week we are going to start off on Mille Lacs Lake. Typically we start out with walleyes, but we are going to start out with smallmouth bass because they are the star of the show right now. If you guys want to get out on some good smallmouth bass fishing, Mille Lacs is the place to be right now. And the best areas to find those are in 8 to 16 feet of water on chunky rock or boulders. Now, the best techniques for catching those fish: drop shot, Ned rig. Some people are still using a hair jig, and a few people are still using jerk baits, but I would really focus on that drop shot and that Ned rig. Now, on the southeast corner of the lake, Isle Bay area, Castles Resort, they're catching a ton of really big smallmouth bass out there. You can catch them on live bait too, but the artificial baits are working really well, and they are hammering the smallmouth bass out on Mille Lacs Lake right now. Now, as far as the walleye bite goes, right now the majority of the walleyes, they have moved out to the deep structure. They're out on the mud flats, and a ton of people are catching them on bottom bouncers and pulling lead core with crankbaits. Now, if you're going to go out and fish the mud flats, you're going to fish that 28 feet or deeper, bring your fish in really slow. If you catch your keeper, it's best to just be done, because the majority of them fish that are being pulled up out of 28 feet or deeper are dying of barrow trauma. So just be responsible to the fishery. If you're going to fish them deep, get out there, catch a few. If you get a keeper, great. But then after that, probably try and move in shallower and target some shallower fish. Now, in the early mornings and late evenings, the walleye are pulling up in shallow still. They're still catching them in that 12 to 18 feet of water. Slip bobbers and a leech, the go-to. That's working out deep as well. But especially in that 12 to 18 feet during those low light periods have been really good with a slip bobber and a leech. Now, the perch bite. The perch still remain to be scattered. They are picking up some on the deep weed lines here and there, but not a ton to be had as of right now. Now, the pike bite. It's still been a little bit slower than normal. They still are catching a few in the bays in that 7 to 12 feet of water on the weed lines, trolling spoons, big spinner baits, and crankbaits. Now, as far as the muskie go, a ton of the muskies, they're out roaming. The big basins are chasing tulibies, but here soon, those fish are going to start to pull up into shallow structure, and you will be able to catch them on windblown rock points and other shallow structure areas. Now, out on Mille Lacs Lake basins, they always tend to hold muskies, so you can always figure that there will be some roaming out in the deep water as well. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay or a guide on Mille Lacs Lake, we highly recommend Castles Resort. They have beautiful cabins there. They have private guides. They have their launch. You can rent pontoons. They do have openings coming up, so definitely give them a call and get a trip booked with Castles Resort as soon as you can. So if you're looking to get up to Mille Lacs Lake this coming weekend or in the future, go ahead and call Jeff from Castles Resort. Alright, now moving over to Leech Lake. The walleye bite remains to be consistent out there. They're still catching tons of eater fish and some bigger fish that they're able to release as well. Now, as far as where they're finding those, 9 to 15 feet of water on rock points and weed lines in close proximity to deep water. So once again, rock points and weed lines near deep water. Now, they said that the techniques they're using, it's varying from day to day One day the fish, they all want a slip bobber and a leech, and the next day they want half a crawler on an 1/8 ounce jig head. So when you're out there, make sure you have everything ready to go. Whether you're pulling spinners, you're throwing a jig head, or you're throwing slip bobbers, make sure you have it tied on, or you can easily change because the bite is changing from day to day. Now eventually here the crankbait bite will pick up. For that I recommend perch color or crawfish color, but that still is a little bit slow, but we'll be picking up here in the next few weeks. Now, the muskie bite out on Leech Lake. There has been some mega muskies being caught out there. Right now, the majority of the fish are still out in the basins, but they are transitioning up in shallow. There's been a lot of big muskies seen on shallow structure, and the best way to target those muskie right now are with low profile bucktails, topwaters, and glide baits. If you want to get out on Leech Lake, learn the muskie fishing, Leech Lake guide team, they have plenty of guides that guide for muskie. So go ahead, give them a call, and they can show you the ropes. Now, as far as bass fishing goes, the bass bite has been really good. A couple good areas are Boy Bay and Steamboat Bay. Look for the rice beds, and that's where you're going to find a lot of bass out on Leech Lake right now. Now, as far as the smallmouth bass out there, main lake rock humps, secluded boulders, like on Mille Lacs, Ned rig, drop shot, jerk baits, they're working out there as well, and you're going to catch yourself some really nice smallmouth bass out on Leech Lake. Now, as far as the panfish go, the majority of the panfish, they have moved out deeper. You can still find a few bluegills in shallow. But those weed lines in 12 to 14 feet of water, especially if you can find some cabbage beds, they're going to produce some really nice bluegills and maybe even a few crappies. Now, the best way to catch those is a slip bobber with a panfish leech or a small jig head and a plastic. Now, if you're looking for a guide out on Leech Lake Guide Team LLC, a bunch of great guides on their team. Whether you want to target bass, walleye, muskie, whatever it might be, they can set you up with the right guide for what you want to target. So go ahead, check them out on Facebook, check them out on their website, give them a call, and get yourself a trip booked. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up on Leech Lake, we highly recommend Horseshoe Bay Lodge. Cam and Courtney run a great operation. They got condos, cabins, hotel rooms. They got a pool, hot tub, sauna, full bar and restaurant, a beautiful marina. Whether you're staying there or not, you can pull your boat up, walk up to the bar and restaurant, have yourself some great food and drinks, and enjoy your time on Leech Lake. So if you're looking to get up to Leech Lake this coming weekend or in the future, go ahead and call Cam or Courtney from Horseshoe Bay Lodge. Okay, moving over to Lake Winnie. The walleye bite has picked up a little bit out there. They're starting to catch some nice fish again. As far as where to find them, the majority of the walleyes are out on the deep humps and basins. Now, like I said, out on Mille Lacs, if you're gonna fish those fish out deep, reel them in really slow. Don't fish a ton of them because you're going to be killing those fish if you're pulling them out of that deep water. Now, the best techniques for catching those, bottom bouncers, Lindy rigs, stuff like that. You can get them on slip bobbers. There is still some fish being caught up in shallow, but if you want to target those shallow water walleyes, you need to be up before the sun rises, or you need to stay out there for the night bite. Now, if you want to target those shallow fish, they're in 6 to 10 feet of water, weed lines, shallow rock piles. You'll probably find a few fish in there, and those shallower fish tend to be pretty big. Now, the pike out there, the pike are everywhere. You can't do anything wrong. Spoons, spinner baits, crankbaits, whatever you want to troll, you're going to find pike out there, and you might find some really nice ones as well. Now, not much happening as far as the muskie bite. Haven't heard a lot. The guides aren't hearing a lot. The resorts aren't hearing much. There's muskies out there, obviously, but I can't give you much info on that. Now, as far as the bass goes, the bass have been on fire. shallow weed lines, reeds. They told me that spinner baits have been the bait of choice, but I'm sure if you get out there early or late, you can throw some topwater, throw some worms or whatever, and you're going to catch some bass. Now, if you're looking for a guide out on Lake Winnie, we highly recommend Scott Zupfer from Zup's Guide Service. He is starting to really pick back up on the walleyes he's catching. He says that in the next couple weeks, when the algae bloom happens, that bite is going to really light off. So if you want to get up on Lake Winnie and catch a ton of beautiful walleyes, go ahead and call Scott from Zup's Guide Service. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up on Lake Winnie, we highly recommend the Pines Resort. Chad runs a great operation over there. He's got a full bar and restaurant, beautiful cabins, some campsites. They got a big marina. Whether you're staying there or not, you can pull up, go have some food and drinks. They're going to be having live music, not this weekend, but the next 2 weekends. So go ahead, check them out on Facebook and stay up to date with that. Now, the Pines Resort, they also have live bait. They have a beautiful fish cleaning shack. Everything you could ask for out of a resort. Now, Chad told me they do have some cabins available. I believe he said July 8th to the 15th. They have a couple cabins open for that. Whether you want to stay for a full week or a shorter stay, he said give him a call and there will be some special rates available on those cabins. So if you're looking for a place to stay up on Lake Winnie this coming weekend or later on, go ahead and call Chad from the Pines Resort. Well, that's going to do it for this week's fishing report. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you could, hit that like button. Leave us a comment below. That really helps the videos out. Like usual, guys, if you're at the boat ramp, be kind, lend a helping hand, don't crowd your neighbors out on the lake, and don't be throwing any trash into the lake as well. But we hope you guys get out fishing, have some good luck, and like usual, don't forget to get on out there and get living.